Hi guys, welcome back. So we have another weekend. We have a Gen 4 3S GTE that we're working on, and I just realized we hit 600 subscribers. So here's the storyline, right? We started this channel officially, started putting content up for you guys to see a year and a half ago. It took us a year and a half to get to 600 subscribers, but I love all of you guys. So thank you so much for doing that. Now, if you are new to the channel, I've been talking to all you guys, like, the subscribers who are the OG, the guys who from when we started off, kind of followed me. And I just kind of felt like everybody has been following the channel from a year and a half ago. But I realized that, well, some of you guys probably joined, actually most of you guys joined in the last 6 months, because when we started off, we had like 10 subscribers, 20 subscribers, 40, etc. And you probably missed the Gen 5 swap that was done on this car right here, the 93 MR2. And you're just kind of watching because you saw Gen 4 pop up on YouTube. So I just wanted to kind of give you like a storyline of what happened. So this channel really started when I bought this 93 MR2 and bought a Gen 5 3S GTE and decided to do the swap myself. So I didn't know what to do, and I said, well, let's just document everything on YouTube. It's going to do two things. One, it's going to help me to kind of figure out what I'm doing. I can go back, watch the disassembly, so when I reassemble, I understand what's going on. And two, help someone else who's trying to do the swap. And originally I said, well, we're just going to do this, that's it, it's going to be done. And then kind of got into the whole YouTube gig and trying to build subscriptions, etc. So where we are, if you're new, this is what happened. The channel started, built a Gen 5, put in a 93. My friend Craig that helped me with that swap, he ended up buying an MR2 because we all got into MR2s. He bought a Gen 5, I did his engine, and then I picked up another MR2, a 91 MR2, and then we got a Gen 4 3S GT that you see right here. Now initially I said, all right, well, we did the Gen 5, so let me not show you guys the details of how everything was done. And I was cutting corners because even with Craig's engine, I cut corners in terms of what I videoed. I just didn't want to repeat exactly what I did. But then I said to myself, wait, you know what, a lot of you guys are new, and nobody really goes back to watch old YouTube videos. At least I don't think so, I don't. So essentially what I'm going to do is with the Gen 4, I'm going to go into detail as I did with the Gen 5. And again, you guys tell me if you think that's the best thing to do on this channel. Are you guys going back and watching the old videos, or do we just go full ham and just redo all the details of this engine so everybody can see it? Because before, like I said, we had 10 subscribers, now we got 600, right? So that's my plan. And with that said, here is the Gen 4 engine. We got it painted, so you're going to see a little clip right now of us painting the engine, and then we're going to jump right back onto it and keep doing some more work. All right, so we did some painting, and this is where we are right now in terms of what it looks like. So block is painted, everything is painted, and it was very rusty and dirty as you guys saw. So that got painted, it's looking much better. Started to polish the heat shield because I like polished heat shields. But again, it came out okay. It's not as good as the first one, but I'm still working on it. And then the valve cover, I wanted to do like a polished valve cover. So let me tell you, man, this thing takes a while to get into anything decent. So right now it's looking, I want to say okay. If you're a pro, it's not gonna look good, but for what we're doing in our garage here with a few sandpaper and some elbow grease, then I think this looks pretty good. But I am still gonna try to get this better than where it's at. But for today, what I want to do is I want to work on the oil pump. So I'm going to replace the O-ring seal in the oil pump, the one in here, which you'll see in a second, and there's a smaller O-ring in the back. And then I'm gonna put the water system back on. So I'm gonna put the water pump. We're gonna replace the oil cooler O-ring here, and then put the whole hard pipe and everything back in place. So that's what's coming up on this video. And then we'll just this will be what's coming up today, and then we'll work on more stuff to get the whole engine ready to go into the 91 MR2. So with that said, I'm gonna turn the engine here, get ready, and get set up to start on this oil pump seals. Well, here we have our arsenal of parts that we're gonna go through on today. So I have the hard water line that we took off. We're gonna replace this O-ring right here, and everything is in this kit. So I got a O-ring for here, this right here. We got a gasket for here that we're gonna replace. And then this other O-ring is for the back. This is an old water pump, but it basically goes, actually not on this. It goes on the water pump housing. So all of this is gonna be replaced. I have the hoses from hell and hose from hell and earth. We got the new water pump gasket. This is for the water neck, and then we have the oil pump. This is the O-ring I was telling you about for the oil pump and the seal. So all of this is going to get done. So we're going to start off with the oil pump. So these two are going to get replaced, and then we move on to the water system. But I just wanted to show you guys, give you some perspective as to what we're working on. So we will go right here, and the first thing we're going to do is get this oil pump off. So we got a bunch of 10mm bolts. So we're going to pull these right now. I already loosened everything as I typically do on this channel. And we're going to just start pulling everything off. Couple things to note. So this bolt right here on the top and this one, these are short bolts. Everything else is a long bolt. So when you're going to reinstall this, just remember that these two are the shorter bolts and everything is a longer bolt. So we'll start taking everything out. Again, for the ease of video, and I pulled everything. So I'm just going to zip them out real quickly. This is a short. Another short, and then I'll show you the difference with the long ones. So here you have the short ones and then the longer ones. So it's important you know where they go back, okay? Just gonna put them right here for now. And we're gonna zip this off. Now while I had this, I just used an impact and took this bolt off so I could get this pulley loose. You don't necessarily have to do it like that, but I chose to do it like that. Thing is long here, just making sure. And then we got the final one over here. And let me make sure this is a long one. Yep, they're all long ones. Okay. So we got basically 5 long bolts and 2 short bolts. Okay. Yeah, there's a little stud right here that slips on, so you just kind of have to break that loose, and then it pulls right out, and there you have it. Okay. Now there is our O-ring, and inside here, and then if you look, there's a little arrow right here and an arrow right here. So when you go to reinstall it, this arrow right here needs to line back up with that one right there. Okay, that's a recommended sequence to get this back in. So it would essentially look something like this. Let me show you. Let me pull the bolt here, or the nut here. We just can slide right out. And then there's that arrow. We're just gonna line them up so they go back in place, kind of like that. Okay, so there you go. So that's what it's gonna look like when it goes back in. There you go, just like that. Arrows are lined up. It's hard to see, but you gotta look at it from the back end and then line up the arrows, okay? But you get the basic idea. So now we're gonna replace this seal. I'm gonna clean this up, and I'm gonna replace this seal inside here. All right, so let's get that done. Did a little cleanup on this thing, and now I'm going to pull the seal out. So I got my little seal puller here. I'm just going to get it in, being careful not to scar anything inside. And these seals come out pretty easy. So there it is, popped out pretty quickly. And now we're going to go ahead and clean inside here again. And then we're gonna start the reassembly. Now I will use a little air compressor to shoot some air through that thing because it leads into there. So I just want to make sure there's no blockage. And I guess it kind of creates a little bit of oil lubrication for the seal. But just get everything nice and clean, and then we're gonna reinsert the seal and we're good to go. All right, new seal is going in. And the groove is there, you just gotta line it up properly. It's a little bit tricky, but you know, you just mess with it, you'll get the hang of it. And it just goes in. And then I'm gonna use some of that petroleum jelly just to kind of hold it in place so it doesn't slip out while I put the cover back on. All right, but you get the basic idea here. There you go. That's your new seal, and that what can wreak havoc with these engines where they leak oil if you don't put this, if this seal is bad. Just this little O-ring. It's incredible how well these things work. Alright, you just gotta mess with it, make sure it's in the groove. Alright, and then we have the seal for here. So it just basically goes in here. I'm gonna apply a little bit of oil around here just to kind of slide it in, and then it should go in pretty easy. So let me get some oil and we'll do that. So normally this seal you can just push it in by hand, and I'm just gonna do that. Get it in till it stops. Very easy. The oil helps it to go in pretty smooth, and yeah, there it is. That's it. Wish all of them would go that easy. And be careful how hard you push on this because there is a ring on the inside. You don't want to pop that out. But this looks pretty good, so you're just gonna push on the outside. And now we're gonna secure that. We're gonna put this thing back on. We gotta get our gear in, and again, remember the arrow right there. See right there, lines up with the arrow right there. Okay, so that's the trick to getting this in. So I'm just gonna put this in right now. Well, there you have it. So now we have the oil pump, the O-ring in the inside behind here is changed, the seal is changed. These bolts are torqued to 69 inch-pounds, so the oil pump is done, and fingers crossed, this thing will not leak. Now, I have the pulley, but I want to clean it up. As you can see, there are a couple of rust spots on it, so I'm going to clean this up. I'll put it on later on when I put in the rest of the timing system on, and then we'll torque that down. But for now, we're just going to leave this off because I want to clean it up. But it goes in. There's like a flat point here, and you just identify it here on this thing, and it basically slips in, and you put the nut on, and that's it, right? Well, we won't put this on right now because, like I said, we're going to clean it up. So now we're going to move on to the oil cooler in the front and the hard water lines and the water pump. So we'll get to that, and then we'll wrap this video up. All right, guys, so now we're on to the water system. So we're going to get the oil cooler, the hard line, the water pump installed. And I'm just trying to strategize how I'm going to do this. So I know this pipe has to go in first, and then the hose from hell has to go in. So I'm going to take this off right now, and I'm just going to mark some stuff to basically kind of position everything right back where it is. So this clamp, there's a white line right here. I'm going to put a white line right there. And this may make sense or may not make any sense, but I'm going to try to approach it systematically here. So let's get this out of the bag. That's the part number for the Gen 4, if you want to get it. And this is the other part number for the Gen 4 for these hoses that go into the oil cooler. All right, so let's get to this. I'm telling you, these little yellow tips that Toyota uses, they do a pretty good job. They're tight. Alright, so let's see. So this hose, they come with these little clamps, you just pull them off. So we'll see how easy. Wow, this thing is really swollen. As you can see, the new hose is very thin, and then this one, so yeah, it does need to be replaced at this point. It gives you a better idea what it looks like. So yeah. Alright. So I know the clamp, the center of the clamp needs to be in line with that. So we're gonna pull this off. And then we're gonna try to get this hose off right here. And there we go. Let's wipe this thing down. And let's see. I guess it's just one straight hose, so it doesn't matter which one goes on first. Let's try to get this pipe in, and then let's change this O-ring while we're at it. So this one comes off. These are the old stuff. Alright, so we got those are new gaskets. That's this gasket right here. This one. And then here's the new O-ring. So we're gonna put this on. Very easy. So now we got new one here. We'll replace this one in a second. Once we get that thing on. And we'll just do little by little. So let's get this hose in. So you gotta put this in from the side. This gotta go through here. And then you kind of have to maneuver this hose through. Just like that. Alright, so we got the hard pipe in, we got the O-ring replaced here, and we got the hose from hell just put on. We haven't pulled the clamp, so it's not tight yet. So now I'm gonna, so basically this goes in like this. This has to slide up in here, so I'm gonna replace this hose. Then I'm gonna put this up in here, and then we're gonna put the alcohol on. We have to remember to put the O-ring here, but I'm just kind of showing you guys the process, at least my idea of how I'm gonna get this thing installed here. Hopefully it all works. So here is the hose. Again, I marked it here, so it's gonna go in like that. So let's pull this piece off. And you can see the old white line from the original installation. Put a better line right here. It goes right there. You know, I don't know if these things make a difference, but obviously they put a line there for a reason, so I'm gonna try to duplicate it, right? All right, there you go. Clean this up, and we have to reuse these clamps. So let's pull this clamp off. And then we're gonna shoot it back onto here. And this one is gonna go onto here. Get it back in the same position, and then we're gonna put the clamp back in place. All right, got the hose on. Now I'm gonna put the O-ring for the Gen 4 3S GTE. We're replacing the old one, and this one definitely, it's a good thing I changed it. I mean, you can see the cracks in this thing. It would definitely leak, and the one in the Gen 5 that I did leaked, and it didn't even look this bad. So that's garbage, that has to go. And here's the new one. Okay, so to do this, I'm gonna put some oil on this. It helps to seal it. So I'll put some engine oil on it, and then we're gonna drop it into here. Let's make sure it's pressed in real good. And Just gotta make sure it doesn't fall out when we go to tighten it. All right. That was a little bit complicated. So I had this pipe in first. I connected the hose here, and then I was trying to connect it here, and then I realized that wasn't gonna work. So I actually took this pipe back out, removed this hose, and essentially put this pipe back in. Then I put this hose onto here, clamped down, so I removed the clip. Then basically, it's with this pipe in, came in, slid this back up in here, then put this hose onto the block, and then thread through the oil cooler with the new seal in the back replaced. So, you know, I can appreciate when somebody says doing this job in the car is literally hell, because it was challenging enough to do it when I'm just sitting here looking at it in front of me. So, I would not even want to imagine trying to do this inside the engine. But that's basically it. What I'm going to do now is just pull this clip, put this clamp back on, torque this down, and I'm going to torque this to 44 foot-pounds. If you watch the Gen 5 videos, I had to replace the seal on the Gen 5 block-off plate. And they're different. They're torque specs. I have the manual here I showed, but for the Gen 2, it's a higher torque number. I want to say it's like 58 foot-pounds, but don't quote me on that. And I'm going to go 45 foot-pounds on this one right here, because I think that's going to be adequate for a Gen 4. So we'll torque that, put these clamps in, and then we'll go ahead and put on the water pump next. All right, we're moving along. So we got the water pump housing that's gonna go right here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put on the new water pump first. So we have a new gasket. So here's our new gasket. So we're gonna basically put it like that. And then we're gonna drop our new water pump over this thing. And essentially just line everything up. And this is the metal gasket. Sometimes you get them with a paper kit, so metal one is the best way to go. And there you go. Just line it up, and then you're gonna, what I did was to remember where the screws go, I kind of left the old pump, the screws in the old pump, so I'm just gonna thread them in. So there are 3 screws that we're gonna go install right now. One right here, one right here, one right here. And I guess a better way to do this is just put your screws in like so to kind of guide your gasket. All right, so you have like a guide. Just put 2 of them in like this. And now you have a guide to work with. And then you can put on your pump. All right. Guys get the idea. And these are going to get tightened down. Everything is 69 inch-pounds. Let's thread this in. And then the other screw right here, this one goes in here. So these 3 basically can be bolted down, and then we're gonna put the whole housing onto the block. So these are the 3, this one, and this one right here. All right, and then we move to the block and get that installed. She's on, turning nice and smooth. Just verifying all these holes are lined up so I don't have any problems when I go to put this onto the block. And the gasket is in, it's not sticking out. So now we got this O-ring that goes into the back right here. So we gotta get this in like this, so. And I always hate to do this because I always feel like it's gonna fall out when I put it in. So I'm gonna put a little bit of grease just to hold it in place. so it doesn't slip out. Actually, it's still holding pretty firm. So maybe we can get away with it. All right, so now we're gonna move over to the engine. All right, we have the water pump bolted up to the housing. Now we're gonna put some soapy water in the inside of this part, and then I have it on my finger here and on here. That's what the manual says. And basically all you're doing here is just trying to get it slippery, so once you slide this thing in, it doesn't give you too much trouble. We're gonna put this gasket on. The raised section goes to here. All right, and now we're gonna basically put this thing, oh, you gotta, don't forget your O-ring on the back here. It's gonna go and seal up right here. So now the trick is to just kind of slip this pipe in, and once you get that in, you're kind of on the home stretch here. So let's try this, see how lucky or unlucky we get. All right, there you go. I'm just turning these things by hand. And it's basically these 3 bolts that you see painted black here from when I painted the block. So we're gonna just get these in. All right, and we're gonna tighten these down to 6 to 9 inch pounds, and then we have the 2 nuts, that go on the inside here. So if I slide the engine around, you'll see basically we slid this pipe in, and we're going to tighten these bolts down. So these are 9 foot-pounds. We're tighten this up, tighten over there, then we'll put the thermostat on, and we're pretty much done with the water system. We're on the final stages now, so here is our thermostat. That's the part number. I think it's the same for all of them, but at least if you're doing a Gen 4, that's it. But I'm pretty sure they're all the same. And it comes with the thermostat and this rubber that you put around here to create a seal. I removed this little pin. It's basically used for, you know, the whole system with, once the thermostat opens, it helps to get the water circulating. But we're in Florida. I don't need the engine to, it's hot here already. We don't really need it. So I always take these out. It helps with bleeding the system. It just works better for me. So I am going to remove this. You don't have to, but I do. So that's just, again, one of those things, personal choice here. So I'm just going to clip this thing out. So now I'm going to put the gasket on, and it just basically slides on. There's a little groove in there. Just work it around. And it just slips right on, and you can actually check it here. Just make sure it's on solid. And then when this goes into the housing, it just creates like that seal that you need. Can't mess this up. So that and this, so basically this raised portion and the pin, or what was the pin, okay, you line that up. Easy peasy. You put this in here. Just slips in place. Put your 2 nuts on. Torque them to 69 inch pounds as we did for the water pump. And basically that's it. Alright guys, so that's it. We have everything torqued up, so it's looking good. I like it. I like it so far. One of the subscribers on the channel, NYC MR2, he had asked a question about the Gen 4. He wanted to know where is the crank position sensor, where's the cam position sensor, and where's the knock sensor. So let me just show you that right now. I don't have the crank position sensor installed, but as I continue the videos, when I finish the timing, I'll show you exactly what it is and where it is. But I'll just show you right now where the location is. All right, so if you look right here in this slot on the engine, right in here is where your crank position sensor is going to be. These 2 bolts hold it in, so if you have your engine and you look at it, you're going to find your crank position sensor. If you come up to the top here, you can actually see your cam position sensor is this guy right here. So there's like a little black box on the back of the engine right over here. All right, so that's your cam position, and then your knock sensor is going to be right here. Okay, so that's it for the Gen 4. So hope that helps you out. I appreciate these questions because I never knew, I still don't know a lot of stuff, but I just absolutely did not know some of these things, what sensors were what, or what I even did. So I'm happy to help answer these questions, and I hope it's helpful for that subscriber and all you guys that are watching. With that said, we've come to the end for today. We got the water pump system put in. We got the oil pump put in. Next week, I think we're gonna finish up the timing. So we'll put the timing belt, change all the cam seals, crank seals, all of that good stuff, and then just keep moving along. So hope you guys are enjoying it. Give me some feedback. Let me know if you want to see the detail like this, or you want me to just breeze through it and you see the final product. Either way, I can do, however you guys want it. Because believe me, it takes a lot of time to get these videos put together. And if it's not creating value for anybody on this channel, then, we'll just breeze through it and create some entertainment. With that said, guys, have a great weekend.